Okay.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, the first thing I've got to say is so sorry I missed your live session a couple of weeks ago. I'll tell you what happened. So I left you guys at around about 10, no, yeah, 10 o'clock my time. And I caught up with Terry next door for a few beers on the patio and what have you. And it was I don't know, 11:30 coming up to midnight. I thought, great. Put some food in the oven, sat on the sofa thinking, right, let's watch a bit of TV. The next thing I knew, my son Tom was waking me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. The house was full of acrid black smoke. And
What?
yeah,
What?
yeah, yeah. So
Oh
so
my God.
the food I put in the oven had
Yeah.
literally been cremated. The
Oh
crematorium down the
no.
road would have been proud. It was charcoal, Blake. I tell you, it was charcoal. And
Oh no. Oh no.
my initial instinct was, oh God, I must get online. And then I realised that you lot buggered off an hour ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So once again, I missed out because I was so looking forward to you know hearing the questions, seeing the guys and girls that come on the event and everything, and I missed it for the second time.
Well, I just downloaded I just downloaded the ET channeling, and I do have the Divine Guidance Team channeling, and I haven't even looked at it. I have to massage it a little bit, cut
Yeah,
some bad things out, um, make it all nice and pretty before I send it out to everybody, but I'll send it out to you. So
yeah,
you can
yeah.
have
That'd be
it.
awesome. No, no, that'd be great to see. Actually,
Yeah.
it will
So
be good to see.
it was the Divine Guns team was a very good one. It was really good. I think there were questions, once again, a lot of people hesitate asking questions because, as V has pointed out, Victoria has pointed out, that so you got me doing it.
That's
uh
okay. That's my nickname.
Here
I'm
she is.
fine with
Here she is. Here she
it.
is.
but what I've found, and she's found out, is that people want to ask very personal questions, and I don't think the team is they're fine with that. They will generalize it. They will give you a direct question, but it'll be very short, and then they will massage the conversation to the point where it's more general, so that everybody who might have that same issue or type of issue can benefit from why you have asked that questions and how to solve that situation. And so, yeah, they've done that plenty of times with these type of events when we were doing them in person, and I'm hoping soon we'll be doing it again in person. But
How are the numbers going? Are you sort of generating more and more interest? Is the word getting out there?
it's slowly. Now uh we did an ET one this last Wednesday. Victoria said it went very well. She really enjoyed it. She knows the ETs, Matthias and company, who are anthropologists, extraterrestrial alien scientists in anthropology, and they study Earth and human behavior. And my friend Tom brought in the rest of them, most of the people that were there. Now, we had probably over 25 people sign up. We had 10 show up, uh, most of which Tom brought in from his neck of the woods, which is in Albuquerque, where they have a big ET and alien interest. And that's because of Roswell, probably. And so what happened there was, what we found, what I'm interpreting as, after talking to Tom about reaction, he thought it was good too. And one of the people that were there said, "Oh, we'd like to do it again. It was very interesting." And but they were scientists. They were not spiritual people. And I think a lot of alien people who talk to ETs are dealing with ETs who are very spiritual. They're not scientific. They're just, I don't know what they are, because I don't talk to those type of ETs. Apparently I'm going to, but that's a different story for another in a moment, which I'll get to in a moment. But a lot of them wanted to know when disclosure is going to come. That's the big key word here, is when is the United States government or any world government going to disclose that, yes, aliens are real, we've been talking to them, and we just had a congressional hearing here, which hadn't taken place since, I think, the 60s or 70s. I don't remember. And it was many years ago when they did it before, and they came to the same conclusion they came this time was, yeah, there might be something out there, but we're not going to acknowledge what it is, and there's no such things as UFOs and UAPs and all that. It's all make-believe. And that really disappointed the community, the UFO community. And so I think there's and the scientists, the ET scientists, Matthias and company, I call them company, there was 5 of them, and Matthias was the leader, is the leader. And they have said to the audience on Wednesday, there's not going to be disclosure. First of all, it's not up to United States government, it's up to the Federation. And most of the people don't even know what the Federation is.
Can I interject here? I think it's quite relevant and quite gratuitous and quite funny, actually. My wife's just downstairs now. I can hear her watching Star Trek.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and they reference Star Trek all the time. They're always like, if you want to know what alien life is like, go watch Star Trek. Almost any version of it, because that shows you there's problems, but and they believe in that, and that where do you think the Federation came from?
Yeah, quite. And do you know what's great though? What's great about it is you've clearly got all of the diplomacy, all the same issues that we experience in our little rock, in this solar system, in this little universe, in this little, in this cloud that goes on and on and on and on. It's I mean, I guess you could argue that it was written by humans, so it's going to reflect the problems of the humans, but actually what it does portray is the same issues beyond, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, but what it does show is that Star Trek, that's the way it is. There are more people that get along than don't get along.
Yeah, quite.
And people accept people no matter what they look like, whether you're Klingon, whether you're some, I don't know, the other species, other races.
I've got to take issue there. I mean, the Klingons, they don't get on with anybody. I mean, come on.
Well, no, there's always been at least one Klingon in the Federation.
Yeah. But do you know what the point is? And I think it's something you that's right there. Do you know what? All of us, regardless of where we are, in what time or reality, we just want a peaceful life, don't we?
Yes, that is true. That is true. And that was very evident with the questions that people were asking that night. They want hope. And the scientists, being scientists, were like, we're not spiritual. Now, Matthias at the end was kind of being hopeful. You can, because it was like, when is contact coming? Well, what do you need to get? What do we need to do to get there? Stop killing each other, stop looking at each other and going, oh, you've got a difference because you're a different race, you're a different religion, you're a different ethnic group, you come from a different culture that I don't understand, and therefore I'm fearful of you, and therefore I don't like you, and I want to wipe you out.
Do you not think the bigger picture? Do you not think the lesson is here? And I can only apply this to my own view, and as I've started to knock on a bit in this current life, really the only thing I'm interested in is what am I doing with my life in this time? What opportunities am I creating in this lifetime? I'm not interested in other worlds and other times and stuff. I'm here wanting my peaceful life, few little goals that I've set over the years, and enjoy the journey of those goals. And the only difference is now is probably I've got that language or that vocabulary to articulate that my journey to you now. But years ago I wouldn't. But it comes down to, I want a peaceful life. I actually want to do some stuff in this life, and have a few things and try a few things, and um, as far as extraterrestrials go, well, one of my favourite films is Paul. I think it's hilarious. It's brilliant. We'll leave it at that. I'm not actually that interested. This life's this life. End of story.
Well, and that's, I think we came to that conclusion at the end of, and the next day I was a little disappointed because, I asked for donations and nobody offered any donations, which we had donations with the Divine Guidance team. And the next morning I'm trying to do the dishes, and Archangel Metatron came in, who is one of the big guns. He's really a big guy in the angelic world. And so he says, I know you're disappointed, but let me point out a few things. He was pointing out exactly what we're talking about now, is that you've got to offer hope. And the audience, some of them want disclosure, but the reason why they want disclosure is because they're looking at their lives now. They don't like their lives now, and they're waiting for somebody to save them. Okay. Whether it's to beam you off of this planet, which seems very chaotic to people, or whether it's to just give them hope. And so what he's going to do is round up some alien beings that are more on the spiritual side rather than the scientific side. And I do have a few, but they don't really talk up a lot. But he's going to get a whole nother section of the Divine Guidance team, so that when people do ask about alien life or that type of thing, they'll have something to, the team. But it's going to be the team. And we're looking at different ways of offering the content we have. But we're not really going to do another, I don't think we're going to do another ET one, because not with the ET team, unless they want to join the Divine Guidance team. And they could do that. But yeah, so I truly agree with you, Chris, in that people are more concerned with, how do I improve my life here? How can the angels, ascended masters, ETs, anybody who wants to listen to me, can improve the life here? How do I get from A to Z? And usually the easiest and most effortlessly way possible. And my personal opinion is that people are lazy. I'm hearing from the team right now, because of course we're talking, I'm a channel, and the team is going to come in. But they don't look at humans as lazy. They look at, because when humans really want to do something, they do it. They go full gun. But sometimes it's hard to decipher what that is. What is their heart's desire, and all of the the fear that's based around that heart's desire.
It's all us about face, really, isn't it? So we sort of born into this life. We have no memories of where we come from. There's a lot of belief that actually we're pre-programmed with all the tools. We have intuition. We have all of that. But from day one, we're bombarded from everything around us. So that's a tool we don't have. We're not given that tool to filter out all of the influences around us. And do you not think, if people realized that actually they have control over their destiny, and genuinely believe that, then they'd be happier anyway? It's like you give us these tools to come into this life. We if you, and I can only go on my limited knowledge with stuff that I've read and everything. So I've come into this life. The reason, no idea. I'm not even going to try and figure that one out, but I'm here to learn lessons, I guess. I was given a set of tools, and it's all, so I came here to do whatever in this particular life. But it's taken me nearly 60 years of that life here to realize that actually you've already got the programming, you've already got everything you need to know. And it's taken probably the last 10 years of my life to start unraveling all of this and realizing actually I've done quite a lot, and I've been really quite ambitious, driven, focused. But it was only later on I'd sort of looked backwards. I know people say, "Oh, you should look backwards," but sometimes you've got to look backwards. You need to understand where you've come from to understand where you're going to go. And for me, it was very much about understanding how I'd done it. So all of a sudden, it's, well, how? And then you start to realize the more research that, again, it's what you think about, it's what you bring about, it's what you think about and focus on, you attract in. And it was a question as well, how did this come about? And I can articulate it now, but at the time it wasn't as clear as that, not overtly as clear as that. And then people start coming into life, the likes of the Bob Proctors and everybody associated around that, and The Secret and the laws of attraction and vibration and da-da. And all of a sudden it is, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I'm beginning to get some language now to hang some of my understanding on. And here we are 10 years later, I can say I completely understand. Visualization, probably massive starting point of anything. What is it you actually want? What is it you actually want to achieve? Where is it you actually want to go? So that's the first part. But then something that comes a little later on, it's something that you and I, Blake, have talked about before, you know, and I love this. I'm probably going to stick this on my headstone. It is necessity for action. You know, you've got to take those steps. Regardless of what you do, regardless of how scary it is. And I'll tell you what, I use the analogy now. When I was 9 years old, I had this ambition to be town mayor, to be mayor of my hometown. My family were quite political. My grandfather actually died. Sorry, my great-grandfather died the month that he was due to become mayor. I think it was 9 years old. I said to my gran, "Oh, I'm going to have a crack at that one day." And it was something that stuck with me. And the process here in the UK is when you get the opportunity to stand, the opportunity came along, and it was in a by-election. So a councillor had stood down, and that's got to be the first stage. You have to become an elected member, be part of the council before you can get to the next stage of becoming mayor. And to go out and canvass, to go and bang on doors, that was probably one of the hardest things I ever did, but it was so necessary to do, to go out, bang on that door, and that person opened the door, and it's, oh shit. And then you come up, you spiel, "Hi, you know, I'm Chris Hughes, da 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 da." And you know, it was a real pleasurable experience in the end, but the courage that it took to take those steps down that down the door path, to knock on the door, you know. And I got elected. I won that election because I was able to go and articulate ideas and say, "Look, this is what you voted for. It's me as a human being, da 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 da." And it was quite interesting. Most people were great, but it was overcoming that fear. But I had to take those steps to do that. Yeah. And then, so that was necessity to act. There was no way that I was going to take the main political parties on. I was an independent to do that. And then to keep focused. I always remember that first council meeting, and there was a lot of bravado and bullshit and front on my behalf, because I was not going to be intimidated with any of this. So back in the US, the same time I got elected, George Bush had just stood for election. And he ran quite a negative campaign, actually. It was quite really nothing like what we're seeing there today. You know, this was tame shit to what we see today. And we took that concept of we would challenge the opposition on everything they'd done. So of course I was as popular as a rattlesnake a lucky dip. But I was determined to face them down, and my God, did that take guts! But I thought, I'm setting my stall out now, and it was an amazing experience. But necessity to act, I had to go through that, overcome those fears,
And
and
yeah, one really has to do that. And I mean, I think, and even to do the live channeling events, and Victoria can speak to this because she's been through this journey with me, is to get me to actually do that. And I was and I'm a really good manifester. I really am, because I can self-sabotage me like nobody's business.
I was just
Really.
gonna say you can self-sabotage just as good as you can manifest.
Yes, yeah. And
yeah.
I think that might have been happening even Wednesday because of what I was doing Tuesday. Just going, okay, well, if this and this happens, then blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay. So I'm not real surprised that Wednesday happened the way it did. And I'm very happy that the team is giving me signs that, yeah, don't give up on your business, but take a step back, because sometimes I go, and you're just kind of in chaos for a while. But the fact is that you have to take action for any of this stuff. And for me, I've always been like, okay, I'm a risk taker. You have to take a risk. You have to get out of your comfort zone. And and I love the secret in the fact that it did teach people about the law of attraction. But I think a big part of that missing piece within that film, and probably part of the book, was they didn't really emphasize the need to take action. And there's a whole universal law that says law of action. There's a whole other law that says law of cause and effect, but you have to take action.
Thing
And
is, though, but sorry to jump in here, but do you
yeah,
not feel that actually just the thought process, sat there visualizing the vision boards, all that sort of stuff, it may not be seen as really overt, sort of full on in your face action,
I
but
think you have to have commitment and you have to have intention. And vision boards, affirmations, I use them. I've got one, just, you can't see, it's out of camera range, but I've got one. And it's tools to remind you of your intention, of your conviction.
It's also
And
it is
it
action in
also,
itself too.
it is, I believe it is action, because you're creating that, you're putting it, you're reading it, you're committing it to memory, you're being reminded of it. All of that is actually effort, and action is effort. Effort is action. So you've got to put some effort into the whole situation. And affirmations, which can help reprogram your mind, and get you out of a negative mindset. And then vision boards and the like are all tools to help you towards your bigger goal.
information is a very weird thing. And again, I think you Americans and us English are very different in some ways in the way that we are around affirmations and stuff like that. I find that quite a foreign concept, this whole thing of writing something out, or and repeating it time after time after time. And many of the guys and gals that I've seen around this stuff based in the US are massive into it. It's just second nature, we're so much more reserved here to speak out loud, and it's just something I don't do. Not maybe I do subconsciously, but
I
yeah.
don't speak a lot of my stuff out loud. I get what you're saying. I write it down, I put it on my bathroom mirror, and then I look at it. I don't necessarily say it out loud, but I will read it to myself every morning.
Hmm.
So I think that, And I get where you're a country whose citizens are much more reserved in their emotions,
Yeah.
and and so
Is that just me? Is
Yeah.
that just me, or is that how you guys view us from the other side of the pond?
that's how
Yeah.
my personal belief is. I would say that my personal observation has been that British people are relatively close to the chest and keep it to yourself.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's all
I'm
upper
go-
lip. It's all
yeah,
upper lip, and
yeah,
God save the Queen,
yeah.
and we're going to be stoic in our opinions and our behaviors.
No, it's all good stuff. It's all yeah, fascinating stuff. I mean, for me, it was quite interesting meeting you though, Blake. Because I didn't know you did any of this. You guys actually went very English and kept this quite close to your chest for quite a while, actually. It must have been a year, mustn't it?
I don't know, Victoria. What do you think?
Yeah, probably because I've been doing solo rock for 2.5 years now. So
Yeah. So it's got to be a year, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, you and I we're talking spirituality pretty much right out the get-go. But
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I've been fascinated by the channeling. I mean, it was a concept that first came to me on my little journey with, I guess, most people is the Abraham Hicks
Yeah.
thing. And I found Jerry, sorry, Jerry, but I found him so boring as a narrator, as a reader. It was just like walking through mud, really.
Yeah, well, he had a role to play. He's the one that had to convince, Esther.
He was the one that sat for hours, wasn't it? It was wow, right. I think how did you, was it you or the team that described me as a little puppy who had just discovered something else? I think was the word a couple of weeks ago, and I guess that he was the same. He had this ferocious appetite, if you believe the biographies and everything of how it all came about. But so that's where I first came across this whole thing of channeling.
Well, I mean, same here. I mean, a funny story, and I was telling this to somebody the other day. And if I'm repeating to you guys, my apologies. But how I got into channeling was first the angels came, and then when I was getting a healing, the ascended masters came, and I had seen trance mediums do this type of work, but I'm like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with all this. I've got all these beings that are helping me. I don't know what you even want me to do, guys. They said, well, we want you to do channeling. And I said, what is that? And they had been somewhere along the line, either there or around that time, which was 2005. I kept seeing this book. I'd go into bookstores and I'd see right out front, asking it is given by Jerry and Esther Hicks and Abraham. I kept seeing it, but it didn't resonate. I kept seeing it. In fact, I saw another book and I actually read that book and it referenced that first book. But we had a very funny title whose name I don't remember. I don't even know where it is at the moment, but it had a very funny title, and so that's what that was about. And I was traveling out west. At this point in my life, I was in the Chicagoland area, and I was traveling out west, and I kept seeing this book, and I didn't pick it up, didn't pay attention to it. But when I was in Moab, Utah, which is home of Arches National Park, which is absolutely beautiful, and I recommend anybody going to. I went into this bookstore, and there it was again, right smack dab in the middle of the. I mean, I couldn't. It was like bam. And okay, in the middle of nowhere, in this book, I finally said, okay. And of course, probably I was much more open at that time because I was on vacation. And I'm like, okay, enough is enough. You don't have to show me twice. I'll pick the stupid book up. And so I started reading and I went, oh, this is kind of fascinating. So I read the book and then I started doing a deep dive into Abraham. Went to, because I could afford to in those days, and I will again, but went to their, they were in town in Chicago. They came by, and so I got to see them in person. So this was when Jerry was still alive. And I really love Abraham, really love his words. And I said, is that what you want? And I was, talking to the team at this point, and I'm like, is that what you want me to do? And they said, yes. Go gather a bunch of your friends, your neighbors, your friends, have a channeling, a live channeling in your living room, and we want you to tape it, because this was the days of videotape still. And I went, you want me to record this? Yes, we do. And I'm like, okay. And so we did. And we held several of those in my home. And then what I did is start going to people's houses and doing there, and they would get their friends and all that. And then I'd give the hostess a personal reading. But that's how I got started with Abraham. And of course, then I've expanded from there, and I know about other channelers and other channels and all that. And so, yeah, but I'm not a trance medium. I'm not, I don't go into trance where all of those people that I'm aware of go into. I mean, we're talking Lee Harris with Aziz, Daryl Anka with Bashir, Esther Hicks with Abraham, Lee Carroll with Cryon, Jay-Z Knight with Ramtha. All of those went under. And when I first started, I did go under and they spoke through me, which was fine. And then one day, I didn't need to go under. They just started talking. And then I finally learned, because I thought, am I the only one that does this? And apparently it's fairly rare, I guess. Anybody who sees this and they can correct me if I'm wrong, because I just haven't come across that information yet. But I don't do trance. I'm a conscious channel now. But it was indeed Esther Hicks and Abraham that got me on this road. And I just was so enchanted with all of this. And they
Can I ask you a question?
wonderful.
Can I ask you a question here?
Yes.
When the team talk through you or to you or impart information to you, however you would say it, what voice do you hear? Is it a voice or is it just a thought?
It is my voice.
It is your
I
voice.
hear my voice. Okay.
Yeah, see, you clarified for this. She's gone.
No, she's there.
No,
She's
I
there.
just had to get the cat.
Ahaha.
Had to
So
get the cat.
You clarified this for me a few months ago, didn't you? I think
Yeah.
you made reference to a conversation in one of your YouTube videos, because I think I asked you because I'm having conversations all the time.
Yeah.
I'm having conversations all the time, but I think I must be going around the bend, because it was always with me. And I think I asked you one night, I said, hang on a minute. So
Yeah.
am I hearing this stuff? Because I've been looking at it. I've been willing it for a few years,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's already been there. And I think I said to you, so when I have this conversation with me, I hear the answers in my own voice, and then I challenge it, because I can be quite challenging sometimes. It's this conversation with me, but actually a lot of the time I quite like talking to myself because it makes sense. And I think that's quite exciting. That was quite exciting, because I'd always said to you, what's it sound like?
Yeah, and it does. It sounds like, well, for me. Now, somebody else, some other channel might have that as a conscious channel, might have a different opinion. But for me, it's always been me talking to me. And for the longest time, I always thought I was just talking to me.
Yeah.
And then I learned over the years that, oh no, it's us talking to you. And the reason I know it's like the other night, I woke up in the morning and for the first time, and I was alone. I was alone in the bedroom. The cat had gone, the spouse had gone, and I was just like, and the team wasn't there. I didn't hear the chattering of everybody. I only had my own thoughts, which doesn't happen very often these days. And then about, I'm 5 minutes into this, and suddenly I'm going, wait a second, guys, you need to start. Is anybody there? Anybody there? Because I started panicking. Did I lose this ability? And they said, we're right here. Calm down. It's all right. It's all right. But and I know that it's them versus me, and I've had to learn this. This is a process. I've had to learn that when I get an answer, and I know personally that I did not pick that up from anywhere, that this was something new, entirely new, that's when I know it's them. And also when I'm starting to ask a question and I get interrupted by something, and this could be in my head or just out loud, and I'm getting interrupted by myself. No, I'm not. It's them who wants to interject something before I'm even finished with my one thought. And that's how I know I'm talking to something else. And because when I follow the advice, people have asked me, so how do you know it's angelic or it's higher level stuff? And I said, because if I follow the advice and it turns out to be bad advice, I've got an interloper. And if I follow the advice and it turns out good, then I know it's a divine. And I've also asked the angels, because through a variety of experiences that I know that the angels and ascended masters are of the highest level, they protect me. So I don't really get attacked very often. But on the other hand, I back in the day of spiritualism, back in the mid 1800s forward, when spiritualism was the biggest rage here and over across the pond, mediums would go under and dead people would come through. And I'm like, no. They just talk to me. They just come in and they talk to me. And when dead people talk to me, past loved ones, I just had that today, the voice is different in my head. It's a slightly, and if they have an accent, I remember standing at a gravesite one time and somebody wanted me to contact their dead relatives, and I find out I'm standing in front of them. They kind of tricked me into getting me there, but that was fine. And it really wasn't necessary to trick me, but they did. I'm hearing, and so we pull the relatives forward, and I'm hearing their cadence, their accents, and so I'm almost replying. They come in and I'm suddenly replying in their cadence, in their accent, the best way I know how, and translating that as such. Whether sometimes I'm translating or sometimes I'm simply kind of allowing the conscious channel part of me to go on, do something. So, yeah.